Hello, is anybody here today? Goodness. It's Bronx Tales on a Monday. We're 2 minutes early. We'll give it a few minutes. Hello, welcome. We're a little bit early, but that's okay. It's Monday. It's you! It's Christina! Oh, look, we've got a second person. I'm going to give it a few seconds for a couple people to hop on. I know it's 5:30 on a Monday. Probably not the greatest thing, but... And we've got Stop That Right Now. Look at us. Maybe we'll just have us three as a powwow. Oh, we've got 5. Look at that. We'll give it a few minutes. Let's just start by saying everything is alleged and our opinion only. Hey, Fizzy. Hi, Denise. Hello, hello. Gosh, I've had such the busy day at work today, but I was able to listen to a few things on YouTube today and found out some good info. We've got some good info. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Pokey. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, we've got some really, really good info. I have 2 things. We're not going to jump into it right away. Hello, Black Socks. Oh, are you originally from the Bronx? That's so cool. It's actually just my dog's name. Well, I don't want to say just. He's very important, but Bronx is my pupper's name. Hi, Michelle. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Barn Dummies? No, I haven't. I literally watched like 2 things today and that's it, but I got some really good info from those 2 things, so definitely tell me about the Barn Dummies. I'm very interested. Hey, Pumpkin, I haven't seen you in a few days. Hello, Carol. Happy Monday to you. Oh, barn hearts. I'm like, what? There's a barn around there? Yes, tell us, Fizzy Fizzy. Okay, yeah, the Cellbrite people. I saw their last interview and how they really like to try and steer the story in a certain way. It drives me nuts. How, like, almost cocky they are. Like, it's a little bit annoying to me. Which cocky isn't bad, but sometimes it's like, okay, but we know other things, so why are you hiding that? Just, makes me wonder sometimes how much money makes certain things come out of people's mouths. The whole Cellbrite thing irritates me in general, just because they tried to say that you wiped his phone, but yet you got everything out of it. So, I mean, it's not like he wiped it. So I got on out. I never get to see Outcast anymore because he goes on really late and I have to go to bed because I have to get up early. But I stopped on his channel super late last night just to say hi, but I didn't actually see much of anything. All right, let me scroll back up and get some of your guys's. Okay, we've got the Barnharts, and then... Oh, I didn't realize they were in the Karen retrial either. Oh, wow. Frantically saying that. So the Barnharts were saying that Bryan Kohbergers was frantically doing searches and scrambling because law enforcement was on him. I thought he wiped his phone. Like, I get how Cellbrite works. I've actually worked with that machine myself, but I worked at Verizon for a little while, and that's what we used, Cellbrite. When you go to switch your phone over and they put everything on your new device, that's the exact same machine. It's Cellbrite. That's what they use. Yeah, Bianca, where are you, dearest? Yeah, if you're new, put a 1 in the chat or just tell me what state or country or whatever you're from. I love to know where you guys are from. Hello, on top. Okay, let me catch up with your guys' chat 1 second because we have lots and lots of good stuff today. I didn't find it all. I'm not taking credit for it, I promise. I'll let you know who I got it from, but I do have a couple of things as well. Okay, Fizzy. They were saying this when the Bolo came out for the car. They said Ellie already knew who he was, but Ellie said they didn't have his name till the 19th of December. The BOLO came out on the 7th of December. Interesting. And we also know with the BOLO that weren't they? Oh, thank you, on top. Look at you starting it off. My goodness. Thank you so much. Hi, Rock. Hello. Hello. Yeah, so, oh, you're in Missouri. I think I knew that, Denise. I'm pretty sure I knew that. Truth Seeker, you're in Northern. How does anybody afford to live in Northern California? That's what I want to know. I would love to. Love to. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch the Barnhart thing and see what they're saying, because they irritate the crap out of me. I pretty much like to give everybody a fair shot and not judge anybody or anything. I just feel like their demeanor is a little bit cocky, and when they say things, it's like you can tell what side they're on. Instead of just giving information, they're definitely trying to route the story with the same way the prosecution, had their lineup of BS. Okay, so I'm just going to share this. We'll get this started. So, I saw the thing, right, with Bryan Kohbergers' car and the bug defender, the bug protector. I personally thought that was like super good information, because we know that when they put out the pictures of the white car that they got on Ridge Road and Indian Hills, or whatever road that was as well, they got those pictures and had those screenshots before they actually had Bryan Kohbergers' car or knew what his car looked like. So they kind of jumped the gun on that, and I think they screwed up a little bit with that. So you're in Michigan. I love Michigan. So we know now that Bryan Kohberger had a bug defender on the front of his car. Now, previously, when I just found out this information, I said, I don't know when he put the bug protector on. So it could have been after, it could have been before, I don't know. But I have a picture right here, and I'm going to share my screen. You can barely see it. But let me remove this wonderful gift from on top and share this. Okay, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. All the things in the way. Okay. This is the best shot I can get of it, but I don't know if you guys can see it, and I know I'm not crazy. I can see it. If you look to the left of his mirror, there's a little dark spot above his headlight. That is the bug defender. So it was on there prior to the unalivings, because this is him being pulled over. In the one time when the lady pulled him over and he was like in the intersection, and he got pulled over because he was like, it was a yellow light, I had to turn. And she's like, no, you just stay back and don't get in the middle of the intersection to turn. Anyway, so I know I can see the bug defender. It's dark. Hi, Bridget. And it's directly above his headlight in this picture. It almost looks like it's part of the headlight if you look directly to the left of his driver's side mirror. If you can see it, let me know. It's not. So Fizzy says the bug defender is not on the pictures that he took when he changed his plates from Pennsylvania to Washington on November 30th, right? It's not on there. I can see it on this picture. It's just above his headlight. Somebody else, it was like 2 or 3 people sent me an email saying that they saw it on his car as well. I'm wondering if, interesting. I'm going to have to look at the Dateline pictures. Very interesting. I can definitely see it on this picture, just barely. Somebody else said they saw it on another picture, and it was a picture before the crime. I'm wondering if he would like take it off when he cleaned his car, something like that, and then put it back on or something. I don't know. I can see it above his headlight right here, though. Interesting. Pokey the Bug Defender is, yeah, you can email it to me here. I will, Fizzy, I'll put my email right here. I'll give it to you. Oops, if I could spell it right. It's just Bronx Tales True Crime at gmail.com. Easy peasy. Perfect. Thank you, Fizzy. I definitely don't want to give any misinformation. I definitely feel like I see it. I know that 2 or 3 other people sent me something. It's definitely like a car, like a bra for the car. You know, people will put that big black piece of fabric on the front of their car so the front doesn't get messed up. It's kind of like that, but let me see if I can just grab a picture of it. Where did I see it at? The documents, right? Okay. Oh, duh, I have it up right here. I'll show it to ya. Here we go. Whoops. There it is. It's this little black thing just above the emblem by the headlights. That little black bar that goes across. Well, it's not a bar. It's a piece of plastic. But it's supposed to protect from, like, bugs or something, I think. She says no bugs. The picture on Ridge and I think it's like Indian Hills or Trails or something like that. Those pictures that the prosecution have I think they're vinyl too. You're right, IROC. Those pictures from the prosecution do not have this black thing on there. Now, Fizzy says she does see a picture when he transferred his car plates over that does not have this on there. I thought I saw in a video of him being pulled over just a little spot where it might have been, but it might not have been. I'm not sure. I thought I saw it, but I could be going crazy. Well, I'm already crazy. It's okay. So, yeah, that's what that is. And what else? What else? Okay, so many things. Let me get my brain in order here. Okay. Lana, Truth and Transparency, had 2 great things today. And I want to make sure that you guys know that Lana at Truth and Transparency is the one who got this information. There we go. Okay. Lana at Truth and Transparency got this information. It's just so important. I just want to make sure people know. I'm not trying to claim that I found this information at all. There was a document, and it's in the ISP documents, and it is from a 56-year-old man, and he says on, let me think of the date, on December, it's like the 2nd week of December, one of the days in the 2nd week of December, this man, who is an ex-police officer, went into the police department in Moscow to let them know that on the corner of Walenta, he saw a 4-door white sedan, and there was a male who was putting personal belongings in his car or in his trunk or whatever really late at night, like in the middle of the night. And he thought it was interesting because the description of the man or kid or whatever that was putting his personal belongings into his white 4-door sedan was the same description given as the perpetrator. The thing is, where this ex-cop saw this man putting the stuff in his 4-door white sedan is the exact same little piece of street that they got the picture of the 4-door white sedan. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Michelle. Yeah, I don't have anything up here. Lana's the one who found it, so I just want to make sure that I let everybody know because it's so important. I just got off work, so I didn't get a chance to grab a screenshot of her video or anything. I'm just letting you guys know that a 56-year-old man walked into Moscow Police Department and said in the middle of December, the 2nd week of December, he saw a tall, blonde, thin-build male in the middle of the night putting personal belongings into his 4-door white sedan. The problem with that statement is that where he saw this happening on Walenta is the exact same area. It's not Walenta, it's Ridge. And it's the exact same corner. They got the prosecution, got the screenshot of what they call Bryan Kohbergers' car. And I just thought that was really interesting because instead of being Bryan Kohbergers' car, it could have been this kid's car, or it could have been this kid's car and this kid is the perpetrator, rather than it being Bryan Kohbergers' car. I just thought that was really, really interesting. Oh, you heard that a long time ago, iRock? I just heard it for the first time today, and I was like, that's really interesting. And the thing is, it's the exact same area that the father of, I can't think of his last name right now, the guy who called in that has the camera, I think it's 1112 King, that has the Ring camera or light bulb camera or whatever that caught the white car speeding away. So that guy called in a tip. Oh, hi, Moto. Thank you. He said, Moto Man MX says, apparently the police stopped caring after they already were plotting their own narrative. I can't make up my mind on who an alternative suspect would be. I'm literally right there with you. It's so obvious, especially when reading these documents. If I printed these documents, I mean, it should be like stacked so tall. They should have been asking so many questions. There should be so many reports and digging into all these tips and then following up on the tip and then another follow-up on the tip. And it's not like this stack of paper. If I printed it out from all of these reports for the entire case, would probably be about this big. That is not how you investigate a quadruple homicide. For them to have just this little bits of information that they don't follow up on any one of them, it shows you right there that they already had their mindset. They already had their guy picked out. They didn't care what tip came in. They could have gotten a tip that said, I saw this guy, I know his name, I know where he lives, and I saw him walk in the house with a knife, and I saw him unalive these people, and they still would not follow that tip. Unless they said Bryan Kohberger, of course. But I'm with you, Moto. Like, I don't understand. So I just thought it was interesting that the neighbor who also called in a tip. Now, mind you, the neighbor called in the tip just a couple days after the crime happened, which at that point, nobody should have known they were looking for a white vehicle or a light colored vehicle. But it was the owner of the camera that we see the white colored vehicle driving away at 420. It's either the owner of that camera or the father of the owner of that camera. So that person's dad called in and said, I see a white vehicle with a, guy that fits the description with their hood up, just sitting in the car in the middle of the night. It's the same area as this other report that says there's a tall, thin-built blonde guy putting personal stuff in the back of his 4-door white sedan on Ridge, which is the same place they got the screenshot of the 4-door white sedan. I think it's all the same vehicle and the same person, which is not Bryan Kohberger. 100% fact. That person lives right there. It's just wild. You have body cam questions. Let's go, Carol. Answer the questions, girlfriend. I mean, ask us the questions. We'll answer them. It's Monday, y'all. It is Monday. So I have a bunch of things, but they're kind of all over the place today, but that's okay. And I literally just got off work like 3 minutes ago. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to pull them up. But there is one thing that we actually talked about before, but I didn't land on the conclusion because I didn't have the report yet. All right. Hello, Amanda. Who had dried blood on their sheets? Can you see it, or it was tested? Because I don't think they tested it. Do you guys know they didn't even take their freaking mattresses or pillows or nightstands or anything until like 4 days later? Well, I guess since most people are here, we'll just get into the super, I think it's super big information. Now, a couple weeks ago, I pulled up a document from the Moscow documents, not the new ones, but the first ones we got from Moscow. And I had pulled up a document, and we were talking about it because it was items of Dylan's from her room that the police actually gave back to her. And the report said, we gave her back this information. We gave her back these items, but actually Ann Taylor wants them, so we have to go back to her house and get them. And I pulled up that document and I was like, that's wild. I actually talked about it with you guys on live, and I said that's really wild that they would go back to her house after getting evidence that they gave to her and bring it back. Like, how could they use that in court? The chain of custody is broken. You don't know what could have happened to this, those pieces of evidence. But they ended up getting it back from Dylan. And what those items were, we knew that it was a pink and green jacket and a pink and white blanket from Dylan's room. However, at the time, we didn't know the information I'm about to tell you, which is now in an ISP report. And I actually heard this part of it from Lana today. So previously we talked about a pink and green coat and a pink and white blanket that the police gave back to Dylan and then had to go back to her house in Boise and pick it up because Ann Taylor wanted it. Well, come to find out, do you guys know why Ann Taylor wanted this? Because the pink and green jacket from Dylan's room and the pink and white blanket from Dylan's room tested positive for blood. For blood. Can you believe? What's crazy is I can believe it, and it's wild. They knew it tested positive for blood, and they gave these items back to Dylan. ISP in Moscow gave these items back to Dylan. Do you know what Dylan and her mom said about the jacket when they got it back? They said, wow, we don't recognize this jacket at all. Well, interesting. Are you just trying to get out of being the owner of that jacket because you know it has blood on it? Or do you really not recognize the jacket? Because your blanket still did. Your blanket still had blood on it, honey girl. That is crazy. Yeah. Huge mess up. Well, and the reason I read the document before we had the ISP documents is because I was like, you can't give her evidence. And they made it seem like it was evidence that had like nothing on, there was nothing to it. It was just a jacket and a blanket. Well, no, come to find out, Ann Taylor finds out those items tested positive for blood. Why would Dylan have a bloody jacket and a bloody blanket in her room? I have so many problems with Dylan. We all know that we've all had problems with Dylan from the beginning. The more that comes out and the more she talks, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The things that she is saying does not add up at all. It makes it so the other pieces aren't fitting now. I think I'm getting sick, guys. I think I'm getting a cold. Okay. Oh, we did that. So, is Fred in here? Hello, Hot Pie. I didn't see your name yet. Hello, Debbie Ann. Okay. So, I'm going to play Dylan, what she said in her, in the newest body cams that we have. I stopped it just where I wanted it, but I'm going to play it because I want us to pay attention to what she says one more time. There's somebody outside that Bronx likes, so if he's going to start crying and barking for them, just to let you know. Thank you, Moto. Real quick, Moto says, Is it not weird they did not research into anyone other than Kaylee? There are no statements concerning the other 3 roommates. I noticed that. And I briefly said the other, a couple days ago, I was like, everything is Kaylee, 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 Kaylee. Like, they dug deep into, like, her bank statements and everything. Excuse me. What I also find strange is, how come they didn't tell us that Kaylee and Jack D had a 17-minute phone call that night? All they told us was that it was like a bunch of drunk dials, basically. They had an actual 17-minute phone call. I don't know if, he accidentally answered. I don't know if they had a 17-minute conversation. I don't know if it was a butt dial, I don't know anything else, but I find it very wild that they have hidden from us that Kaylee had a 17-minute conversation with Jack that night. I'm going to be honest, I don't think Jack D is involved. I really don't. But it's weird that they're holding that information back from us. So I agree with you, Moto. Everything seemed to be about Kaylee. And if you remember in the beginning too, they were driving the story and the narrative to make it that Kaylee was the target. I mean, now we know that she had different injuries and things like that. Was that from fighting and just being more of a harder victim to combat? I don't know, but everything has been about Kaylee. It really, really has. The thing is everybody thought Kaylee had the most injuries, but it wasn't. It was Xana. Both Jacks had blood in their apartment? I don't remember Jack D having blood in his apartment. Hello, Wolf Angel. So much shady stuff going on. You are so right. Listen, from the beginning, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning real quick and give you just my very brief view on it. So, in the very, very beginning, before they even had a suspect, the way they spoke, they made it sound like before they even had a suspect, that they were looking for just one person. From the very first time Fry got up on that podium and started speaking on this case, if you listen to the words he used, he automatically from jump made it sound like they were only looking for one person. And in that moment, they pretty much didn't have any information. Why would you be so close-minded just from the very beginning to think it was just one person? If I walked into that crime scene and saw 4 people unalived and 2 living, my first initial thoughts would not be, oh, one person did this. Not at all. Not at all. Right. And then exactly, Fizzy. And then they go off of exactly what Dylan says. I think they went by that, Fizzy says, because Dylan said she only saw one person. That's exactly what it is, but that's the whole problem. And then when they arrested Bryan Kohberger, I was still like, there's no way one person did this. From the very beginning, I was like, it might have been him and somebody else. This is before I started really digging into everything that we were getting. But I was like, it might have been him and somebody else, but there's no way one person did this. So I have so many questions about both Dylan and Bethany's statement. I want to play just a little bit of Dylan's statement because I do want to point a couple of things out.
Is your driver's license right?
Yes.
Okay. How much have you seen on that?
No, I don't really know. I just saw my friend when I called because we were so scared. We're like, can you please come help us? And that's all I saw. I told us not to go in. That man right there. That I'll show you around.
We did go in there.
Yeah, and that's when he told us you need to call the cops.
Okay. Do you mind just waiting over there for me, please? when, now I overheard you talking about last night.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to, the more we know right now, the better. We start this process.
Yeah.
Somebody will probably be revisiting this interview with you very soon. Again, okay? So you're probably going to have to retell the story quite a bit.
That's fine. All
right. What do you remember seeing? What started?
I remember I was in my room and I was trying to go to bed and I heard Kaylee, who ex-girlfriend, who has a dog in her.
Real fast. Which one is your room?
Kaylee.
Which one is your room?
Oh.
What room are you in?
Yep, you're right. I rock.
You were in that room?
My room, not Xander's room. My room.
And your room is this one right here?
Next to stairs. That one is Xander's room.
Second floor room.
Second floor.
Okay.
All I heard was I heard go upstairs. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep now because she's going upstairs.
And you heard who go upstairs?
Kaylee and the dog Murphy.
And upstairs to the very top?
Yeah, that's where her room is.
You're right. Fizzy says, who runs around their house in the middle of winter on wood floors with no shoes on? Most people have like slippers, socks, something. I don't know. That didn't sit right with me either.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I heard her walking up. I heard her scream, and she ran downstairs because she saw someone. That's what I'm pretty sure she said. Someone's here, and she screamed and just ran downstairs. And I called for her name, but I jumped up and locked my door because I was so scared. And then I heard someone in the bathroom, and I heard her crying, and I heard some guy say that you're going to be okay, I'm going to help you. And I kept calling her name, but she wasn't answering. And then I opened the door for a second, and I saw this guy, and he was not insanely tall, but he's wearing all black and like this mask that's just covering his forehead and his mouth. And I locked the door and I called, and I didn't know what to do.
This was at 4
a.m. Yes. Okay. And so then I just ran down to
you left here?
Yeah, I left my room down to she's that one.
Oh my Lord.
Take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it.
With the white blinds at the very bottom. I ran down there and we talked, and we just locked the door. We didn't think anything of it. We're like, nothing happens in Moscow, so we just like tried to go to bed. And then we woke up, and it was weird because none of our roommates were up, and we called all of them. They were not waking up, and so me and like, this is weird. So I called and to come over, and then that's when all this happened.
Okay, so the parts I want us to pay attention to that have irritated me is, I'll tell you the first one is when she starts talking about what the perpetrator looks like the very first time she tells the story to an officer. She says, he's not insanely tall, which she already said, but she's going to go ahead and say, he's either a couple inches taller than me or a little bit shorter than me. I'm not sure which one. The officer then says, hi, Fred. The officer then says, so about 6 foot. And she says, yeah. And then the next time she tells the story to the next officer, he's no longer a little bit taller or a little bit shorter. He's just taller. So it changes immediately. As soon as they put whatever these officers say, that's what she goes with. And then she tweaks her story to go along with whatever the officers say. What if the perpetrator was a couple inches shorter than her or 2 inches shorter than her? You know what would make sense if that was true? If this perpetrator was a couple inches shorter than her, that would make the tiny blood droplets we see in the door frame make sense then. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at the height, if let's say the perpetrator was 6 foot and he's standing there with the knife in his hand and it's dripping, the knife is going to be, 2.5, maybe 3 feet off the ground? Well, then the droplets would have more of a splatter to them. But if he was just a couple inches shorter, that knife would then be a couple inches closer to the ground, which would leave less of a splash when it drips to the ground. And we don't see any splashing on those little blood droplets that drop from the knife. To me, that tells me that the perpetrator is actually maybe a couple inches shorter than 6 foot. I just find it interesting that at first she says he could be a couple inches taller than me or a couple inches shorter. The cop says, so about 6 foot. Well, she knows in her head that's taller than her. So from here on out, she's going to say 6 foot or taller than me. Never again does she say he might be a couple inches shorter. Now, isn't there a step right there by her door? And it goes down, right? So of course he would look taller than her, because he's on a step that, he's about whatever, this much higher than she is. So he might not actually be taller than her or 6 foot. And that would actually make sense to me. And then, well, here, I'll just play it and see if she says it. There's one more thing about what they say.
Who all lives here with you?
Me, that woman right there.
Okay. Who's Santa?
Santa is the girl in there.
Is the girl that lives this far?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you spell her name?
Xana.
Do you know if she has a middle name?
Alexis, I think.
Do you know what her last name is?
Kernodal. K. I don't know how to spell it really. K. You know? R-N-O-D-L.
K-A-E-R.
K-E-R.
K-E-R.
N-O.
N-O. D-L-E. Okay.
Okay, so the next thing that she's going to say is when the officer says, okay, what about the 2 other girls that aren't here right now? Listen to the way Dylan responds to that. She's doing this, fake wobbly voice thing that I can't stand. She's going to say, they aren't, like, confused, because she knows they're up there. She knows not only are they there, but that they're upstairs. She knows that. And you can tell by her response, because he makes her confused when he says the other 2 roommates that aren't here, and he meant that aren't here, like standing right here with us. And she got really confused because she knew they were in there. But how would she know that? How does she not know that they didn't see a perpetrator, both Kaylee and Maddie, and jump off the balcony or run out the front door or anything? How does she not know that the running wasn't Kaylee and Maddie running out the house and leaving? She doesn't know that.
X-A-N-A. Okay.
Ethan, who's in there, he doesn't actually live here, but he's here like almost all the time.
There's a male that lives here, and
he doesn't actually live here. He's in the room with Xana, I believe.
He's in there right now.
But he doesn't live here, but he's here a lot. And then there's Maddie, Mogan, and Kaylee up top. I don't know where they're at though.
Maddie.
Mogan. Maddie Mogan and
Maddie Mogan.
Yeah.
And who?
Kaylee Gonzalez. She's the girl that I was talking about, Kaylee, who I just heard go upstairs and run back downstairs.
Okay. And the guy that lives here, his name was what? He's usually here.
Ethan.
Ethan. And you knew he was here this morning?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea he was here.
Okay. All right, describe the guy that you saw.
I don't think he was a little bit taller than me. And I couldn't really see much of him, but I'm almost positive he was wearing a full black outfit, and he had this mask that was just over his forehead and over his mouth, and he didn't say anything to me, like, at all. I just shut the door and locked it, because I didn't know what to do, and I think he went out, like, the side door, the sliding door in the kitchen, that goes out to the backyard, and then
Struggling to lose weight. This is why I switched to compounded GLP-1. I have struggled with my weight since childhood. Diet and
I didn't know anything else, so I called, and I was like, I just need to come downstairs and find you because I don't know where anyone else is. And I called Maddie, I called Dana, I called Kaylee, no one would answer.
Okay. All right. For Xana, do you know how old she is?
She's 20.
Is she in the house?
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay. She's a student at UVI?
Yes.
Do you have any contact information for her parents?
No.
It's okay. Well,
okay.
we can get that eventually.
Her dad's name.
And then Ethan. E-T-H-A-N.
And Chapin, C-H-A-P-I-N.
Hey, real fast. Oh, she's saying this morning wrong.
I'm pretty sure the only name or information she gets correct on any of the roommates is Maddie's. She didn't know how to spell. She didn't know how to spell Kaylee's name. She doesn't know her birthday or how old she is, or I guess she didn't know how old Maddie was either, right? She can't spell Xana's last name. She doesn't know their birthdays. She pronounces Chapin wrong. Like, how much do you really not give a crap about your roommates? I mean, $107,000 worth of not giving a crap, I guess. I think there's a lot of, the more she talks, the more information we get, the more guilty she looks to me.
Was in there, she didn't recognize him. She heard girls screaming upstairs. She got scared, locked herself in the room. And then the screaming all stopped. She's pretty sure that this masked person went out the back. And right now I'm getting all the victim information. She knows where the two girls are up there. I haven't told her who's deceased or anything like that. They have 4 people that are unaccounted for right now. Which,
okay.
Whose dog? Who owns a dog?
Kaylee. The one in the truck.
Okay.
As well, and
Yes, Carol. Dylan lived there for, I think it was around 3 months, maybe a little bit less, maybe like a week less or a week more, something like that, but about 3 months. She says Dylan hands are so big. You guys crack me up. Oh my gosh. I have so many questions about all of this, and I can't wrap my head around it, and I don't know if I'm the only one. I'm struggling with the timeline. Dylan says at about 4 to 4:10, she sees Kaylee. Kaylee says she's going to go upstairs and go to sleep. So Kaylee runs upstairs, she screams, and runs back down. Now we have a report that says Dylan thought that the perpetrator came in through the 3rd floor, up the balcony, and left through the balcony, which I'm not understanding, because here she's saying she saw him go out. She's pretty sure she saw him go back out the back slider. The problem is, if they were all up, where is Xana and Ethan? If Xana got a DoorDash at 3:59 and had to be there at 4 whatever, 4:10, 4 whatever, around that time, they're saying she was there because they're saying at 4:17 she was unalived. But then they would have saw and known that Xana and Ethan were there, and they don't say one word about when Xana and Ethan came into that home. It doesn't make any sense. The other problem I have is, okay, Dylan and Bethany are texting back and forth or calling each other, right? And they're talking about, oh, I saw a guy with a mask, and oh, Xana was wearing black. No, it was like a ski mask. That whole conversation. So now both Dylan and Bethany know that somebody was in their house, right? And it was off, whatever. So Bethany tells Dylan to come downstairs. Okay, the questions the officer should have been asking was, so when you went down to Bethany's room, did you knock? Was the door locked? Did you announce yourself? Because I want to know, did Bethany have her door open? Was it locked and Dylan had to knock? If so, how did Bethany know it was Dylan and not a perpetrator knocking, trying to get in? If Dylan had just seen the perpetrator walk out the back and then Bethany tells her to come downstairs and she immediately runs down there. How did Dylan not know that there was maybe another perpetrator rummaging in a room downstairs trying to steal stuff? She was just like, oh, I'm just, whatever. Oh, well, I'll just go downstairs. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then you mix that with the items in her room that have blood on it. You mix that with the downstairs bathroom not having any rugs or any, like, that bathroom looks unusually clean compared to the rest of the house, except for maybe a little smudge on that bottom cabinet, which could be blood, it could not be, but it looks like it possibly could be a blood smudge. Why would you, if you were actually scared, you would not risk yourself getting killed by running downstairs and being in the open with the killers. If you just saw somebody, you're exactly right, Bridget. And if you just saw somebody, why would you not run out the back door that's right next to you? Like, there was no sense of fear. And these times that she's putting out there in this interview with this cop that actually sucks because he doesn't ask anything of detail, that timeline can't add up. It makes the rest of the puzzle pieces not even fit anymore at all, not even close. Right, you just saw them. You're not gonna, who's coming out of their room after they just saw somebody in their house with a mask and whatever else he has? They don't ask her to describe the item he had in his hand, like nothing. They don't ask any questions. And then we find out, I think it was Lana's channel that was talking about the episodes of Vampire Diaries that they had all been watching. And within this episode, there's a guy dressed in black that's saying, I'm here to help you. In that episode. And then there's like this thing that like is really loud. There's a big boom and then it blows up. I mean, I know that wasn't on the first floor, but it sounds like what Bethany heard. It's like they're just describing what happened in this episode and trying to make it fit with this situation. There's just no way that a perpetrator is going to come in there and pass Dylan's room to go all the way upstairs. That doesn't make sense. And then they're saying, Dylan's saying that we were out there at 4 or 4:10. So the perpetrators couldn't have come in the back door. They couldn't have. That time doesn't work. How are they all in the living room? And then Kaylee runs upstairs and screams and says there's somebody here and runs back down. That means the perpetrator would have had to either come through the balcony or, thank you, On Top X, either had to come through the balcony or was already there waiting. That's the only way. You know, truth over verdict, welcome. Truth over verdict says, the more I learn about this case, the more I wonder if the 4 students are actually alive. Doesn't it seem like that? It's just like nothing fits at all. And I don't know if they're releasing stuff to throw it in our face as like a controlled experiment type of weird thing, or if they're throwing it in our face like, we know we don't have enough information and we're just going to make you guys run this wheel over and over and over and over to try and figure it out. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Right, exactly, Bo. Kaylee would have had to juke the intruder to go back upstairs and running down. But then if she ran down, how did she end up back up there? Like, oh, wait, did I see an intruder? Let me go check one more time. No, like that doesn't even make sense. And at that time, Xana and Ethan would have had to already be there. But they claimed they didn't see them there. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, absolutely, Moto. He says, no, they're using a PCA that was deemed irrelevant from the prosecution themselves because they say all these things in the PCA. Oh, we've got this and this on this person. We've got this and this on Bryan Kohberger. We've got this and this on Bryan Kohberger. But then after the plea deal, you say, actually, we don't, just kidding. We don't have anything. Just kidding. What? Like, these are 4 people's lives. And that's what makes me think, like, I'm not super big on the, like, super conspiracy, but it does really make you think, like, is this real? Because this seems, it's hard to process because nothing adds up. I could understand if all this happened and this adds up, but you've got one person's story that's off a little bit. No, everything is off. A lot of it. Oh, yes, good thing you said that, Christina. Christina says, I saw a post today from Casper West, and he had somebody send him a message stating that Dylan was laughing about the way Kaylee's face looked after the atrocities. She was laughing and saying that her face looked messed up and that, like, basically that she didn't like her. I'm not sure if anybody else saw that from Casper West. I also saw that from Casper. Thank you for reminding me, Christina. It seems weird. Not that I don't believe it. I always like to, you know, kind of wait a minute and get all the information before I believe or not believe something. This message came from a person that used to live in Moscow. They said they did never speak on this before because they lived in Moscow, and it's a thing, you know, like nobody talks about it because you don't want anything to happen to you in Moscow, right? But now that they moved out, they said that they are about the same age as them and hung out at the same places, the same bars, and said the next day or day after, whatever it was, that Dylan was in a bar talking about how awful Kaylee's face looked and was like giggling, laughing about it. Now that's could be rumor. I don't know. I also just heard that or actually saw the post from Casper West, so I don't know if it's true or not, but some of these things we can't just dismiss because of everything else we know that doesn't add up or is wild. Thank you, Moto. Goodness. Moto says, I honestly think Bill in the last few interviews looked perplexed and puzzled himself. He's always rubbing that hairy chin. It's almost like it's a mix between crap, we effed everything up and we got to find a way to get ourselves out of it, or it's a mix between that, that and, oh my gosh, some of these people in this world actually believe this story. This is wild. Like, I can't tell which one it is with him. Like, and a little bit stressed. Like, dang, I almost lost this. If this dude wouldn't have made a plea, they would have lost it. Oh, I know, Tattoo Gal. I still can't believe that she's got, that they gave her that much money. I just don't understand. I could have seen it, a GoFundMe, like immediately after the crime, like crap, now I can't live in this house anymore. And, you know, I've got to move and da-da-da-da-da. But 3 years later, I don't understand that. You know, now that we know that there's red fluid on a jacket and a blanket in Dylan's room, that 8-hour wait for that 911 call makes a little bit more sense. It's hard for me to believe stuff that I can't see with my own eyes or hear or touch. You know, I have to know that it's fact. It's hard for me to believe things. So the cleanup part was a little bit hard for me to believe. Not that I didn't believe it, but I just wanted more facts on it. You know what I mean? I wanted more proof on that. But the more we see, the more they talk, the more it shows that there's absolutely a cleanup. And I don't think it's a cleanup like, oh, we're going to mop up this whole crime scene. No, it's just a cleanup of anything that could incriminate them. That's what the cleanup is. And I do think things were cleaned up. I absolutely do. Why are her hands and arms so white? They're so white in this video. Okay. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Somebody made a comment on my last pre-recorded video, and they asked, is it possible to get the water usage from that morning? Now, I'm asking you guys, actually, do you know if it's public knowledge to get water usage on a house from 3 years ago? Like, if I call or if I can get it somehow, do you guys know if a outsider person can get that information, or do you have to be the account owner? Because I'll call and I'll try and get the water usage for that day. I want to know how much they washed. I want to know how much water they used to clean stuff. You know what I mean? Like everything they washed. I want to know. I want to know how much that water usage was. I was thinking maybe not, especially the fact that it was 3 years ago. You're right, Stephen. I was thinking it might not be possible, but could you imagine if it was what we could find out then? Oh, that would put the nail in the coffin for me. No pun intended. Hi, Jethro. Can you get, okay, I thought there was something like that, Moto, like the historical water usage. I'll figure it out. Trust me. If I can get it, I'll get it. You think it's there, Silent G? Okay, I'm going to try and get it. And I'm wondering, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I already have it written down. I will call tomorrow and I will dig tomorrow and do whatever I can to get that. If you're not the account holder. So what if, here's my question though. If somebody wants to buy a house, you can't call and get like, well, you could probably get like an estimated water usage for a month or something. I'm wondering if I can get it nailed down for one day though. Because that's all I want. Bridget, I thought that too. Bridget. You think so? Wonder Woman, no, that's cute, says not water, possibly electric usage. It would spike. I'm going to try. I'm going to do everything I can to try and get it. And other things along that line, I'm gonna try and get some stuff. I'm sure even if I just ask that question, they'll deny me just because of the address or whatever, but they know what I'm after, you know what I mean? They'll probably be like, yeah. Water is digitally metered, but even if you could see variation, it would not be anything concrete. True. I'll have to think on that one. Right, that's what I'm thinking, Elsie. Hello, Elsie. That's what I'm thinking. Elsie says, unless you have comparisons of history, records wouldn't tell much. That's what I was thinking. Like, it could tell us it was whatever, but without knowing how much the day before or, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right. But we can still try. It won't hurt. We can see. Now, I thought that tattoo gal says Hunter being in that house was ridiculous. Like the cops couldn't find the bodies on their own. What the F was that about? And I said something like that in a comment or something like that, maybe on a pre-recorded, and somebody kind of made a comment disagreeing with me, like, get a life. He was just showing them where the bodies were because at that time they thought it was just an unconscious person. I get that, I do, but don't officers need to, hi Bunny Murphy, don't officers need to prepare for anything though? If an unconscious person could be anything. It could be anything from somebody pretending to be asleep to an unaliving. Wouldn't you need to prepare for that for any type of scene and not have somebody allow them to go into the room before you? What if a perpetrator was still in there? What if their goal was to ambush the police? What if Hunter had a pew-pew in his pocket? And, you know, I'm just saying, like, trying to think ahead, like, anything could happen. Don't you, as an officer, need to prepare for anything? Why would you let Hunter go in the room before you? Yeah, Iraq, they did have guns drawn, but that wasn't until after they found Xana and Ethan. Then they got the other officers and cleared the house. They cleared the house after they went in and saw Xana and Ethan, which I thought it was strange. Yeah, I thought paramedics came first as well. Katrinka. Hello, Katrinka. I think they all were. I think you're right, Alien Dog. Hunter was directing the narrative. I think they all were. All of this is backwards, right, Iraq? My goodness. Silent G, you worked on this campus or just, I'm not saying just, but a campus? I also think this is totally like off what we're talking about right now, but before I forget, I just want to say that I think it's strange Dylan and Bethany went out immediately and got MKXE tattoos. First of all, the timing of it, that's like, I mean, when I found my roommate passed away, and it was nothing like this. It wasn't brutal or anything. But when I found the last thing I was thinking about was going out and getting a tattoo of their initials or whatever the next day or 2 days later. That was not what was on my mind. But what are the odds? There are 24 variations of their initials together. So you can have like KMXE, MEXK, KEMX, right? There's 24 different variations, I believe, of their initials. What are the odds that Dylan and Bethany go and get the tattoo of their initials in the exact order they believe they passed away in? Like, I think that's just weird. I don't know why. I don't know why that sticks with me so much. It's also the same as the prosecution put in their documents. It's the same order. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they parked way down at the end of the street. I can't believe they took this girl at her word and like didn't even nail her down to anything. Not one detail. Not one detail did they ask of these girls to pin them down to a time frame or anything. They didn't ask what the episodes they were watching was about. They didn't ask anything. I want to know, when Dylan went down to Bethany's room, did she knock? That's what I want to know. Or did she announce herself, or what? You don't know. If you saw one person, you don't know how many people are in there. And you're just going to run down there. But my thing is, if you knocked on the door, how did Bethany know when she opened it, it wasn't going to be somebody trying to unalive her, that it was Dylan? And if so, why are you announcing yourself if there's perpetrators in the house? Like, my goodness. Who said that? Silent G? Yes. Silent G says, I'd love to interview the tattoo guy. Me too, because people say things when they're getting tattoos that they might not want to say. You know, thinking it's the tattoo guy. It's not going anywhere. Even just a chuckle after a name or, you know, just anything like that. I'd love to know. They should have separated them. They should have separated everybody. You're absolutely right. USA Kiwi. Oh, you are beautiful. You have a beautiful profile picture. They should have separated anyone that had been in the house that morning. Even Jack D was acting weird. Only concern for Murphy's whereabouts. Yep, they should have separated everybody. Like, I don't know what kind of investigation or lack thereof this was. It literally starts at minute 1 when they pull up. They're not separating anybody. They're letting a random college kid lead the way into a crime scene. Whether they know it's a crime scene at the time or not, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you do have a situation on your hands. And as an officer, you should know and think ahead that it could be anything. This person could be unalived and not just passed out. And you need to prepare for that. And you let Hunter go ahead of you. You don't separate them. You don't ask questions. Excuse me. I mean, oh my God, I could go on and on. It just drives me nuts. In every tip that was given, not one of them was followed up on. And then at the bottom, it'll say, listen to the audio. But then, of course, we don't get the audio. I want the audios. I want to know what's said, because we know that when they write reports, especially Payne, twists the words and says whatever the heck he wants to say. I cannot believe Payne said that the glove wasn't there. He went over the body cam and it wasn't there when he pulled up, or any other officers pulled up, and we can see it plain as day. Why would you lie about that? Oh, because there's male DNA on it that's going to catch the correct perpetrator if you test it, and he knows that. Go feed your puppy, USA Kiwi 86. That's most important. Pain is a pain. You are right, Fred. The fact that Bethany's main concern, I understand they're young and I understand they're college girls, and I get that sense of it, but the amount of selfishness and how self-centered they are when there are 4 people inside that were brutally unalived and all they can think about is themselves. Bethany literally walks up and the first thing she says is, "Can I go home for Thanksgiving?" What? What? That's your priority? That's your concern? Get out of here. The glove, yes, Carol. Carol asks, was the glove put into evidence? I'm not sure how much you know about the glove, and I love talking about the glove because the glove, to me, in my mind, proves that there was another perpetrator. So there's a bloody black glove in the front at the end of the driveway. Now, we also know that the front door was wide open from at least the hours of 8 to 11 in the morning that day. To me, that shows me a perpetrator went out the front door, and as they're walking away, they dropped a glove. And yes, they took that glove into evidence. They found it on the 20th, either the 20th or the 24th, they found this glove. It was there the whole time, but they ended up finding it on like the 20th or the 24th. They took it into evidence, and there is unknown male DNA on that glove that does not match Bryan Kohbergers. To me, that glove just tells me that there's another perpetrator that absolutely went out the front. Because if they're saying Bryan Kohberger went out the back, got in his car, and peeled off, how would the glove get in the front yard down the end of the driveway then? That doesn't make sense. They tested it enough to know it was male DNA, but they didn't test it to compare it to anybody. There's, I think, 3 other spots or 4 other spots just like that in the house, Carol, where they found unknown male DNA, but it doesn't match Bryan Kohberger, and it doesn't match the other male's DNA either. So there's several different unknown male DNA. I think it goes up to D, right? Unknown male A, B, C, and D, right? Or maybe just 3 of them. I'm not sure. But Carol, I'm not sure if you know either that there is unknown male DNA under Maddie's fingernails as well that doesn't match Bryan Kohberger's. And then we have the issue with the sheath. All I want to see is a body cam. You can blur everything out except for the sheath. All I want to see is that sheath on the body cam with the very first officer that walks in there. That's all I want to see. Wait, I missed something. Somebody did an interview with someone. Where'd it go? That is interesting, Bridget. I like this comment. It's the little stuff like this that matter to me, because you get all these little things, and those are the details that matter. Bridget says, what I find interesting is the Gonsalves family say that Maddie is another daughter. But Karen, Maddie's mom, never says that about Kaylee. Never says that Kaylee's her family or other daughter. And there's an interview with one of their friends that told the officers that Kaylee says Maddie is her closest family member. Basically like saying, I don't know, her family sucks and Maddie's the closest family member. Oh yeah, absolutely right, Denise. And those little details that make up the story, pretty much, the whole case is in the little details. They would have come out in trial. And that's what would have made Bryan Kohberger. I think of it like this. We've got the prosecution sitting there saying, Bryan Kohberger's car was, whatever word he used, pristine. You know, there's not one speck of anything in that car. And then we see the picture of his car and it's filthy. Not the inside. I'm not saying the inside was, but the outside. But if the jury heard the prosecution say his car was pristine, and then they get a picture of it and see how dirty it is on the outside, it might make somebody think differently. Wait, what? The Gonsalves have Maddie's ashes? Allegedly? I haven't heard that. There's so much interesting stuff. Thanks, Moto. Moto says Kaylee was trying to have a relationship with her estranged sister, and SG didn't want that. Absolutely. I've seen the videos of Samantha. You know, like I always say, it's hard for me at first to believe something. I need, like, facts. You've got to prove it to me before I believe it. And with her, at first, I was like, I don't know. But, like, for some reason, you just kind of feel for her. And then you realize, like, yes, it's true that Samantha is the estranged daughter of Steve. And Christy made Steve choose between their family and Samantha. Well, sorry, but Samantha is your family, honey. Like, how awful. You destroyed one girl's whole self-esteem and everything. It is. It's total bullcrap. I feel terrible for her. You can tell that she struggles mentally. Like, you can really tell how hurt she is. Absolutely. I think that too. And, you know, the guilters will be like, oh, they're so alpha. They're so, okay. Okie doke. Didn't somebody come out, they are saying his car was DNA proofed with plastic, really? And that he could unalive all four in just over 2 minutes. Right. Because, well, who was it today? Harsh? Was it Harsh that put out the information? And it was that somebody said, one of the investigators said that Bryan Kohberger actually did this in 90 seconds or something like that. Like, what? You can't even walk in the house and walk upstairs probably from your car in 90 seconds. Stop it. Oh, it was Angela. Okay. She doesn't bother me as much. It's just the information that drives you nuts. Because it's like, how do these people not read into the documents? I'm telling you how many comments I get on my videos that say, you're nuts and get a life and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just read it. Is it the fact that you just take the word of mainstream media because you just believe what they tell you? Or did you really read it? Or did you just not have time to read it? Like, read the documents. Put it together for yourself. There's no free, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. There was one other thing. Yeah, let's go to, let me remove this. Sorry, guys, I should have had this off there. So Let me grab a document really quick. Oh, let's see. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to get into the documents here real quick. I suppose while I'm in here, I could check all these dang FOIAs I put in here. I'm so irritated. I put in a FOIA. I put in 2 FOIA. Well, I put in like 10 total. But there were 2 of them. I put in the same exact information just for 2 different counties. One for Ada County and one for Latah County. And they closed my Ada County one because they're like, you already asked for this. And I'm like, no, it was for a different county. And it clearly says it on there because it's a drop-down box. I'm like, ugh. Now I have to refile it and wait another 100 years. I still haven't gotten the FOIAs I put in, 3 months ago. Okay, I am looking for, let's see if I can find it. Nope. Let me, okay, we're getting closer to it. Sorry, 1 second. Scrolling. 168. I can't remember who told me to look at 168. I'm sorry, but I did see your message that said to look at 168. So we are on 168. Okay. Let me put it up here. Oops, stop this one. And we're going to share this guy. We're going to check this out just because somebody in chat mentioned 168. So we'll check it out and see what it says. This is for, oh, okay. So this is what, Jack D's red fluid? Look, I got to share this, Fred. Fred's grabbing a beer if anybody wants one, okay? He said this beer is on him. Just let him know what you prefer. Oh, thank you, USA Kiwi. That's so sweet. You guys are so nice. I love this community. I really do. It's a whole combination of everybody being able to think outside the box and know that what we talk about is sometimes you have to speculate a little bit to come up with ideas and bounce them off each other to get to the truth. You take a little bit of speculation and see if it fits, and you can come to the truth that way. All right, so we have in this document 168. Okay. Witness. Okay. This report says this person was interviewed on several occasions beginning on November 15th. The supplement adds audio from those interviews, which I want that. I interviewed blank at the Idaho State Police District 1 office on November 15th. Blank was the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee. So this is Jack. Okay, Jack had been dating Kaylee since they were in high school, dated on and off for 5 years. They broke up approximately 3 months earlier due to her taking a job in Austin that had been a mutual decision with no drama. Blank advised that he was driving a long vehicle and blank. He said that his vehicle was owned by Kaylee's parents and they were allowing him to drive the vehicle. Wow. If Kaylee's parents can just like give away cars, why did they need to take other people's money to travel to Ada County for the trial? Why did they need all that money? Anyways, Jack advised that he lived at blank in Moscow with a number of roommates. Jack listed his roommates as a couple of people, and I noted that the location of Jack's apartment and the crime scene were near each other. I noted that Jack and his roommates were all members of a fraternity. I asked Jack to describe his whereabouts and events leading up to the time that the homicides occurred. On Saturday the 12th, Jack advised that he was at work at the blank, blank, blank between 2:30 and 10:30 p.m. working in the kitchen. Jack drove home to the duplex and went upstairs where he found roommates blank, 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 and blank. Also present was a friend who was not a roommate named blank, 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 went downstairs, changed into a sweatshirt, got a beer, and waited for a sober driver who was a blank freshman to come pick them up. Jack said that the sober driver arrived in what he thought was a black Nissan Xterra and took him, blank, 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 and blank, blank to the corner club. Jack said they arrived at the corner club around 11 o'clock at night. He said the club was packed and that they were admitted in because his roommate, blank, blank, was working at the club, which I think is Adam, right? Jack said he got into a confrontation with the blank member named blank because blank had been messing with one of his friends. Blank friend, blank, blank, was there too, told Jack to lay off, and blank bought each other a shot. Jack said he saw Kaylee at the club that night. It was not uncommon for Kaylee to be at the club. Jack said that he thought Kaylee was accompanied by blank, 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 who was blank's girlfriend. Jack said he left at approximately 1 in the morning. Jack said he, blank, and blank were picked up from the club by somebody who was the president of blank fraternity and returned to their apartment. Blank said he had consumed 2 beers, 2 shots, and 1 of Rumplemints, and a 32-ounce tub of beer. Jesus, that's a lot. Jack said after returning to the apartment, he hung out with his roommates for a period of time, tried to throw up, but couldn't, and went to bed. Do you guys do that? Like try and make yourself vomit? You're fine, Bianca. I told you before, girl. If you have stuff to do, you go do it, girlfriend. It's okay. We're just happy to see you. We just love you. That's all. Okay. Jack said he woke up at around 11:30 the next day. Jack said blank, 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 and blank came into his apartment and talked about cops being down the street near Kaylee's house. He tried to call Kaylee on the phone, but no answer. Jack said he walked down the street where Kaylee's apartment was and saw blank, who was Ethan Chapin's brother. Jack said he asked one of the officers on scene to tell him what was going on and told an officer that his ex-girlfriend lived in the house. Jack said the police put him in the back of the patrol car for about 45 minutes. Oh, there are so many people on my last video saying that that's not Jack in the back of the police car. This proves it. Yes, it is. It's Jack in the back of the police car. He's got socks and sandals, a blue hoodie, and like light-colored shorts on. And this proves it because he's saying right here, he sat in the back of the cop car for 45 minutes. Also present, sitting with blank, was another blank. Jack said blank was a good friend of Kaylee's. At some point, the University of Idaho put out a text university-wide announcing a homicide that had occurred. At my request, Jack drew a sketch of Kaylee's apartment and labeled the rooms by the names of the persons he knew to be living in each room. I have attached these drawings to this supplement and will transfer them to the Moscow Police Department. I will also scan these sketches and place the scans onto a disc and blah, 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 blah. Hold on, I have to cough. Sorry. I asked Jack if he had any idea who could have been responsible for committing these homicides. Jack advised that he had seen a video from the grub truck on Main Street the night before showing a blank member named, I'm assuming Showalter, who seemed to follow Kaylee and Maddie from the area of the grub truck before they went home. Jack also advised that he had heard from blank that a man named blank had been acting predatory at the corner club. I'm assuming that's Cole, that was acting weird at the corner club that had kicked him out. I asked Jack to describe what vehicles the 4 victims drove. We took a break. Jack left the room to speak to his mom, who was concerned about Jack. Upon returning from speaking with his mother, Jack said he did not want to continue the interview without a lawyer being present. We stopped the interview and Jack left. I get it. You know, sometimes you want to think like, what? But I do get it, especially with what I've been through. I get it. I'll never say a word. Jack returned on November 17th, accompanied by his attorney. Resumed talking about his recollections of what happened. Jack said that he, blank and blank, got back to their apartment a little after 1. He said his bedroom was on the main floor. He said he hung out with his friends for 10 to 15 minutes, advised he was drunk. I asked him to estimate on a scale of 1 to 10 how drunk he was. Jack said he would put his level at about an 8 out of 10. Jeez. Jack advised he had never experienced memory lapses, had never walked in his sleep, had never acted while asleep. Jack advised he went to bed at approximately 1:20. Jack said he woke up the next day. He noticed a number of missed calls from Kaylee and Maddie. There was approximately 7 from Kaylee and 3 from Maddie. But I thought that wasn't true. I thought it was 16 missed calls. And I thought that they had a 17-minute conversation. Or maybe I'll just, oh, there it is. Okay, I see it. I'll just keep reading. Jack said that he had no argument with Kaylee the night before. There was no dispute. Nobody was upset. I noted in looking in phone records that there had been several text messages the night before between Jack and Kaylee. The last text message from Kaylee to Jack at 2:15 telling him that she had his vape and that he could come pick it up at her house. I advised Jack that there appeared to be telephone calls at 2:26 between him and Kaylee that lasted approximately 17 minutes the night before. Jack said he did not recall the phone call and cannot explain it. Jack said maybe in his sleep he thought it was an alarm that he had pushed the side of the phone to turn off the ringer. I have learned that Jack had been referred to the blank, blank, blank because one of his professors was concerned about Jack had been missing more classes than normal and that the breakup with Kaylee had been bothering him. He talked about her going to Texas and the fact that she initiated the breakup. I asked Jack directly if he had committed these murders. He stated clearly that he did not. Jack consensually gave a DNA sample. He also consensually gave his cell phone to be downloaded. I later took the DNA samples and transferred them to the custody of Moscow. I took the thumb drive containing the phone. Da-di-da-di-da. Oh, and then it says, listen to the audio. Dang it. The officer says I had a number of follow-up questions and interactions over the course of this investigation vital with Jack was cooperative and helpful throughout. On November 18th, Jack consented to a search of his room, bathrooms, common areas, and downstairs laundry of his apartment. Forensic scientist Carrie Hogan, Idaho State Police Detective Jeff Talbot, and I entered the apartment at 9:17 on the 18th. After searching the areas Jack had consented to, we found a drop of possible blood on a wall of the entryway. A sample of this was collected. We also noticed what could have been 5 or 6 small drops or runs of blood on a kitchen wall. Samples were also collected. This search and collection of possible bullet drop samples, did he mean blood instead of bullets? Were photographed and documented. Wow. I didn't know that they found blood in his apartment in several different spots. Jack advised that he and Kaylee were co-owners of a mini golden doodle named Murphy, who was 11 months. Jack brought the dog in, and I clipped samples from 3 places: the top of the head, the mid-back, and from the chest area. Why would they do that so many days later? Why would they clip hair from Murphy so many days later? Don't they even wash them when they get to the pound place, because you can't have things spread from dog to dog when you bring other dogs in there? Yeah, it was never tested. Well, it says they took the samples, but it doesn't say they tested it. And then that's it. It goes into a Kohberger document. That's literally it. Right. You would think maybe clip the nails, maybe Murphy jumped on a perpetrator and you could have fibers in his nails or skin cells in his nails. Like, what the heck? So, when was, Fizzy, are you asking when was the interview? Is that what you're asking? The interview was on the 17th. So, what, the 13th, 5 days later? 93 to 94. Whoops. Wait, page 93 to 94 in the Idaho ISP documents. And yeah, and you're so right too. Truth over verdict says, I guess Bryan was some stealth ninja, close to 100 wounds and left nothing but a few skin cells. The nonsense they want us to believe. And I just want to point out again, and I say this all the time, but I'm going to reiterate it again, where the page number is, where? Oh, here. Put in, what was it? 93 or 94? The evidence. Is that what we're looking at, IROC? The fact of the skin cells, the DNA, and I think we all know this by now, but it was less than, it wasn't even enough for Bryan Kohberger to have touched it himself. It wasn't enough DNA. It was enough to possibly be a secondary transfer where he might have shaken somebody's hand and they transferred his DNA, or pulled on a door or whatever, and somebody else transferred his DNA, but it was even less than that. That's why I struggle with the DNA. I think Bertie was asking the other day, it might have been last night, he had somebody on there named Boring Betty Lou, who was actually excellent. She had so many great things to say about this case, and put it all together in a pretty little package. And Bertie was saying, you know, it's hard. The DNA is probably the hardest thing to explain. And for me, it's one of the easiest things to explain. It's not a primary transfer. It's not enough to be a primary transfer. It's not enough for Bryan Kohberger to have touched it himself. Easy peasy. Yeah, she had just the greatest things to say. I mean, I think it's stuff that most of us knew from the documents. I think it's just the way she put it together, like, just, you know, like a nice little story. Just explained it very well. I don't know where, I wanted to pull up that document. I don't think it's a document. It's the handwritten letter that supposedly Bryan Kohberger wrote about his SA harassment in jail. I don't know where I haven't even looked for it, to be honest. I haven't tried to pull it up, but I don't even think that handwriting looks like his. You guys have to think of how smart Bryan Kohberger is. And he was going for his PhD. And the sentences in what was written, first of all, the handwriting didn't match to me. Second of all, what he wrote does not sound like that of a PhD student would write in the prison to complain about harassment. Wild. Let's see. What page is, what page are we on? This is the sheath, steak knife. Oh, okay. So does it have, must have the blood taken from Jack D's in here? You're in Wisconsin, Stephen? Close to me. I think that's all I have really for today. Bronxy's got to go to the park. You know, it's about that time. Today I just found it interesting. That was the other thing I wanted to do before I leave you guys. I want to look something up because I think lots of people are confused on the Amido Black. So I just want to Google something really quick and show you where I'm getting my information, kind of. I'm putting in, does Amido Black react to cleaning agents? I think that some people are saying it absolutely does not react to cleaning products. And I'm like, I think it does. If you just Google it, it says, yes, Amido Black can react with cleaning agents, particularly those containing bleach. However, the purpose, let's see. There was something I saw on Amido Black that said dishwashing liquid. Amido Black can bind to the proteins in cleaning products, specifically dishwashing liquid has protein enzymes to clean whatever you're trying to clean. It has protein enzymes in there. And that's what the Amido Black sticks to. So, I mean, I just kind of felt it was odd. Like, why would Amido Black be reacting inside the dishwasher? That doesn't make sense to me, right? Well, it would have to be the dishwashing liquid that they're using. So it does say Amido Black can give a reaction to cleaning products. I forgot what I looked up earlier. It was better. Oh, I think it was on ChatGPT. I looked it up too. But yeah, it can, I mean, definitely proteins in food for sure. It's not just the blood. It's any protein. So it could be food left out, you know, residue from food left over. But it also can be from cleaning products. And I'm just getting that from a bunch of searches I did on Google, really. I did more than just this Google search. It was earlier today. I was really looking into it. Everything I saw said, yes, it can bind to the protein enzymes in cleaning products. So, yeah, they're basically just false positives. It's basically just, you know, binding to the protein enzyme itself, no matter where it comes from, which could be the cleaning product or food or whatever. So, do we have a new person? Welcome. Look at the puppy. Oh, I said puppy and my puppy perked up. Yes, we are so. I thought so too. I'm glad you said that. Raphael Penguin says Amido Black was a weird choice. I thought so too. I'm like, why wouldn't you use the, you know, luminol or Blue Star? Like, I think that's more widely used. They used what, luminol on his car? Why wouldn't you just use the same thing across the board? I think that's a weird one too. Who are share 'em, Tattoo Gal? Tattoo Gal says, I have 4 suspects on my personal list. How many do others have? I have a couple. I think I'm going to be honest. In my opinion, allegedly, I do think Showalter's suspect to me just because of the blood in his apartment and stuff. And then the Farley stuff that that Boring Betty Lou and Pav talks about, and the connections with that is very interesting to me. Very interesting. I mean, that stuff makes more sense. The stuff that Pav digs into, like Farley and that whole Aryan Night stuff and all that stuff, makes more sense than Bryan Kohberger. That stuff makes it fits like puzzle pieces fit together like they're supposed to, better than Bryan Kohberger fitting into this story at all. It just drives me nuts that because Dylan said she saw one perpetrator go out the back, they were stuck that it was one perpetrator, never looked anywhere else, never followed a tip. They see this car that shows up as white on a video that could very well be their cop car, their undercover car. And just because a person doesn't drive a white car, suddenly they can't be a suspect. Like, you cannot be that close-minded, and that's what they were. They were so close-minded. They had the exact person that they wanted. Now, I don't know if they had Bryan Kohberger specifically in their mind, but with the information they had, 6 foot, lean build, white car was driving that night. Boom, there you go. Now he fits to them, but it doesn't fit to me. My question has always been, we know that Molly saw the undercover officers drive by her, and she thought that that was Bryan Kohberger or whatever she tried to say about that. So we know it was the undercover car. We know that that was Rosie and Tesdall. We know Rosie was leaned back in his seat, and that's why it looked like one person was in the car. I showed you guys that video of his own body cam leaned back in the seat, and it made it look like one person was in the car. My thing is, if Rosie and Tesdall were clocked out and off the clock at 352 or whatever, 347, whatever the number is, why would their boss, why would Payne or whoever did it, why would they need to go take that vehicle and test it under the light to see what color the car looked like in the Ring camera? Why would they have to test the color of their own vehicle? They were already off shift at that time. So it doesn't make sense to me. They had to have it be somebody else. All right, guys. Bronxy's got to go to the PARK. Is that who it was? Hi, Susan. Is that who it was? Blaker? God, that whole 90-second thing is wild. Like, stop it. Yeah, Christina, when's your birthday? So we know who's older. Fred. Pop does rule. Bronxy rules too, though. He's got some good ideas sometimes. When he's awake, I suppose. He's knocked out. Today, I ran to the gas station real quick, and Bronx sneezed and threw up at the same time in the car. So I had a fun lunch today, cleaning up Bronx's throw up in the car. He feels better now, though. Thank you. He is a sweetie pie. He's just the sweetest. Yeah, he's okay, though. He's all right. He's eaten, and he gets a bug sometimes. Like, he's just sensitive. Emotionally and tummy sensitivo. All right, guys. I'm going to take Bronxy to the park. We'll see what else we can dig into. I'm going to do some digging a little bit later. I have some documents to go over, and I'm going to put in a few more FOIAs, I think, tonight. But I'll probably do a pre-recorded tomorrow, and then I will probably see you guys on Wednesday on our next live. I just want to thank everybody, especially Mr. Moto Man over here, and On Top XX for all the super stickers and excellent questions and input and insight. And you guys are just awesome. I just love being here talking with you guys. It's like, I feel like when I'm with you guys, I make, like, things make more sense as we can have a flow of conversation, you know? And then I go digging again, and I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Anyways, thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Please do something nice for yourself, whether it be tonight or in the morning, whether it's your favorite coffee or take an extra nap or take a nap. I don't know. Do something nice for yourself that makes you feel good, please. And be kind. But more importantly, be kind to your animals. I'll see you guys Wednesday. We'll do a live Wednesday. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Please be safe, whatever you do. Have a good night.